Ark Survival Ascended is the new remake and remaster of Ark Survival Evolved. It brings with it a lot of quality of life fixes, but sadly along with these fixes comes a huge amount of legacy issues that date back to even Ark 1's release. We were promised that this would be a new, built from the ground up code base, but it has a lot of issues that were fixed in Ark 1 that have reared their ugly heads or have just persisted through Ark's lifespan that should have been fixed a long time ago. So these are the 10 issues with Ark Survival Ascended before you buy, in no particular order. Coming in at number 1, we have rafts. Rafts have always been an issue in Ark because they just go through the mesh. They have no physics, no hitbox. They ignore everything. So basically what you can do currently is you can bring your raft and put it inside somebody else's raft and jump off, even as a solo. If you're doing it with another person, you can sit them on a chair, phase through an enemy raft, jump off the chair, and get into their base. This even works with turreted rafts. So living on a raft is currently impossible and not safe. So I would highly recommend, if you are living on a raft, try to get off it as quickly as possible. It should have been fixed for Ark Survival Ascended, and I can't believe it's still an issue to this day. So this guy does it solo. He can do it on official. He simply sails his raft up to the other raft and jumps off just before it impacts and phases through the walls. This is the issue with rafts. You can phase through far too easily. We experienced it with a guy with our raft as well. I jump on rider here and the guy just jumps or stands in position and glitches inside the raft. He didn't even do it intentionally, but he ends up inside the raft because this is how broken rafts are in Ark Survival Ascended and Ark Survival Evolved. He glitched in. The other issue is wild tames currently just glitch through, so if you run your raft through a wild tame, it'll get stuck inside. You can also still put rafts inside the terrain and hide your gear, so you can put a smithy in box and make them inaccessible to other enemy tribes. And you can still do it in the world border as well. So this is a huge oversight. I really hope that the devs will get to this and address it. I'm really surprised that Ark Survival Ascended released with the island without a fix for rafts, or without the devs actually revisiting the raft code and building them from the ground up. This may get fixed in the future, but for now, this is an issue with Ark Survival Ascended. Next up, we have modifiable ini/input settings, which has plagued Ark since its inception. Now, this is a huge issue that has transferred from Ark 1 to Ark Survival Ascended. The ability to modify the game to look drastically different and give you an advantage over your enemies. Here I am spawning in and turning off the water on a live official server. So it's simple at the moment because there's inputs you can put into your commands to turn certain things off. Now, I haven't seen a huge one that destroys foliage as of yet, but I'm sure it's out there, and you can also modify your external ini folder in the in-game settings. Currently, you can turn the clouds off, you can turn off shadows, and I get these commands for performance issues, but the problem is they allow it to go too far. Luckily, they did just patch a modifiable input that got rid of the whole map, so there is some progress on this front. I would like to see more. I think these sliders should be a set thing from Wildcard in the settings. Stop allowing people to get rid of the water. Stop allowing people to get rid of foliage. Put everyone on an even playing field. But I do get the performance argument because a lot of people can't handle the game right now. So I think there's a middle ground. I would like to see it where everyone sees things like water and at least basic foliage, so that we can still hide and use it as cover and know that we are safe and someone can't just see us with an ini config. Next up, we have a huge issue with turrets and rockets being very broken on live servers right now. At the moment, turrets do not register 50% of rockets, I would say. If you jump, it seems really inconsistent, but the rockets just hit about every second or third shot. The turrets seem to be really slow response time at targeting rockets, so currently a lot of people are getting raided by people simply firing rockets into their base and jumping at the same time. So this is very broken. This is a huge issue for PvP right now. I hope it gets fixed. Something is wrong with the turret AI, or something is wrong with the rockets, or maybe it's intentional, but I don't think it is. So this needs to be fixed urgently, and make sure you don't sleep until it is. Now we come to meshing, which is still in the game from Ark Legacy. Now this is a huge issue. There was an issue with the new ceiling gate they added, which puts you down into the mesh and you're able to drop and raid cave bases with it. But this has been patched luckily, but nonetheless there still remains critical issues surrounding cave base locations, and Doth, link in description, goes into it more, into a lot of detail. And the other issue is that meshing is killing underwater tames. If you go down into a pearl cave, or any underwater cave, your teams will get ported to the top sometimes because the map thinks you're under the mesh and teleports you up, and then your underwater teams die. So overall, at the moment, I think meshing is a lot harder since they patched these gates, but I'm sure someone will find a new exploit pretty soon. So be aware, if you're in a cave, meshing is still a big issue in Ark Survival Ascended. Next up, we have buildable artifact caves. And this is an issue on PvP servers because tribes can block off the artifacts. Now, we've had no issue with it on our server, but I know some servers will have huge bases in the caves that are very hard for some tribes to raid, and that means some tribes will get primitive locked and not be able to advance to tech tier. And this is a huge issue for power creep in Ark, and means there's a huge divide between different tribes and an unfair advantage to the ones who get to the caves first. So there's been a lot of discourse on Twitter, but one option would be to have the artifacts spawn in the open. Maybe add some new spots for the artifacts like Crystal Isles, where they were all spawning externally and there was never an issue with getting the artifacts. Next up, we have dino pathing issues. Currently, dinos seem to be a lot less smart than they were even in Ark Survival Evolved. In Mr. Dolphin's video here, link in description, you'll see players able to run rings around the dinosaurs and not get hit. So I don't know if there's a delay, if there's an issue going on with the AI, but currently the pathing may be better, but they seem a lot dumber than they were in Ark Survival Evolved. So there's some issues with the dinos as well. Hopefully this is just some teething issues and will get fixed pretty soon. Next up is a huge issue for everyone, and that is performance. Ark Survival Ascended's performance is horrendous, and this is why I give people the benefit of the doubt to put Ini on, at least to get rid of shadows and the clouds, because currently I sit around 30 FPS with my settings on, about medium, and I've got a 3090 which should be able to handle it. But performance is a huge issue currently at the moment. They are making some optimizations and making progress on it, but currently if you have a lower end rig, I would really steer clear of Ark Survival Ascended until they really optimize this game a lot better than it currently is. At number 8, we have character size, and this has been an issue for the longest time in Ark, and I was really hoping with Ark Survival Ascended we'd get a fix for this. But the ability to make your character super small and have a tiny hitbox is kind of ridiculous, and in Ark Survival Ascended you can make your character even smaller than Ark Survival Evolved. So much so that you feel like you're playing Grounded or something where the land is way bigger than you actually are. So I hope they actually set like a set standard for hitbox and size at some point. Next up, at number 9, we have hit registration, and this was a huge issue that we all hoped would be fixed for Ark Survival Ascended with the new engine. But unfortunately it's not, and the hit registration has transferred over from Ark Survival Evolved. It even feels worse than Ark Survival Evolved, if that is possible. Sniping on players is very inconsistent, so this is something they really need to fix urgently, because it's a big problem still, and it shouldn't be in Ark Survival Ascended at this point. Last but not least, we have grapples and reload broken. Currently, if you try to grapple, the first grapple seems to shoot off, but the second grapple does not reload unless you get your crossbow out again. So this is a huge issue. I've also heard people are having the same issue with the long neck. So just be aware of that and be careful when you're getting picked out there. Hopefully this is an issue they can fix pretty soon. These are the top 10 issues to consider before you buy Ark Survival Ascended. Overall, it seems like the devs are working on fixing some of these issues fast, but some of them shouldn't even be in Ark Survival Ascended to begin with, considering this was supposed to be a fresh code base. At least that's what we were all led to believe. If you think I've missed any off this list that you have come across, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay up to date with Ark Survival Ascended news, I cover updates and gameplay, so don't forget to subscribe. You guys are legends. Thanks for watching.